Hi guys, Debbie here. Welcome to today's video and to my channel if you're new here. So this one's going to be a collection of all my bronzers, highlighters and blush. I've done a face palette collection video and I'll link that in the cards for you and down below if you want to check it out. But in that video I promised I would show you all my singles as well, so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to split it into bronze, then blush, then highlight. Some products kind of span between like highlight and blush, so I'll kind of put them between the two categories, but that's kind of how I plan to do it. So I'll put some timestamps in as well if you want to just jump ahead to just seeing, say, the blush or the highlight collection, because I'm going to start with the bronzers. I've got a list of those, so I thought that would be a good place to start. So I've got some really old ones in my collection because, as you guys might know if you've been here for a while, I don't declutter anything. So this one from Lancome, I've showed it before when I first started my channel. I showed you my collection and I've still got it, and I'm ashamed to say I haven't used it since, but getting it out today I'm like, really, I should use this because it's massive, but it's kind of got a bit of cool toneness to it that I think I could be able to get away with that with sort of the colour that I am right now. So as I say, it is a massive pan of bronzer. It used to have a gold overspray on the top, and they used to bring these out every year like in this special packaging. Like they do a smaller one, but they used to bring a big one out like this, and it was pretty much the same price as the normal one, and I always want to get a bargain, so bought it. But it's not much of a bargain because I never really used it. But at the point I bought this, I didn't really know what to do with bronzer. So these days I use bronzer more as like a contour, so I think I'd probably enjoy it now. So I'm going to put that one into a Shop My Stash, I think, and start using that because it was expensive and I'm not using it at the moment. Also, just after that, or around about the same time, I bought the NARS Laguna bronzer, and again, same story. They did a special edition of this in a bigger packaging that you got a lot more product, and you got a little one of the Eater brush in there, which this is hella dark on me. I can make it work if I really sheer it out, but it is way too dark. But it was one of these purchases that everyone was talking about on YouTube about 3 years ago when I first started getting obsessed with YouTube, and so I wanted to own it. But I do still like the brush, and it was a good deal really, because you're getting the same size on the top of the Eater brush, you're just not getting the longer handle. But those Eater brushes cost a fortune, so that's what prompted me to buy it. So yeah, that's the NARS Laguna, a classic in a lot of people's eyes, I think. Then the next one I've got, I really love, but I'm really sad. I took it on a holiday, and when I got to my destination, it was smashed, but I've kept it because I've managed to salvage half of it. But this one's such a good bronzer on me. It's the shade Sunkissed, and it's one of the beach bronzers by Urban Decay. Love the packaging and how slim it is, and it just reminds me of holidays. It's just so nice. But this is what happened to it. So half of it kind of smashed and fell out, but I can still use the other side. And it's my perfect bronze shade, and I've got a bit of colour in the summer. It's just gorgeous. I mean, it blends out really, really nicely as well. Then I've got the Hoola Light from Benefit. I've got the regular Hoola in one of the Cheekathon palettes, and I've shown that in my face palette video, but bought this one for winter days when I haven't got so much colour. I'm starting to pick up a little bit of colour now, which is nice. I'm not quite as pale and pasty as I usually am. But this one is ultra pale. So for any of you really pale girls out there that are looking for a bronzer that you can pretty much put anywhere and not really worry about it being too intense or difficult to blend out, then this is your one. It's so easy to use. The box packaging is a bit of a pain to get your brush into because I like to use a nice big bronzer brush, but other than that, it's worth the hype. You know, this is one of the best-selling products for Benefit for a reason. It is really, really good, and I use that one around my hairline, whereas I quite often can't do that with other bronzers because they just look ridiculous on me, but I can do it with this. And yeah, I just really enjoy it. I just think it's easy. You don't have to worry if you're going in too heavy-handed because it's so light, but it blends out so easily as well. It's got one of those awful brushes. I need to clean that brush. I did used to use the brush that came with it when I first bought it, and I wouldn't even dream of doing that now because I always like to use a much bigger brush for bronzer these days. Fairly recent addition to my bronzer collection is this one from Morphe, and it's the shade Frenemy. And when I bought it, I really didn't like it at all, but it's grown on me. So it's got two sides to the bronzer. That side is way too dark for me, but this side is like a bit of a glowy kind of bronzer, and if I just dip in this side, and it's what I'm wearing today, I think it's got quite a glow to the cheeks and it's really, really beautiful. So if you were thinking it's too dark for you, I mean, as I say, half the pan is definitely too dark for me. It might not be if I get a bit of colour, but the chances of that in the UK, as we can't go anywhere, probably quite slim this year. So I think I'll be sticking in this side. But as I say, I really, really enjoy anything that's glowy blush. Obviously, I love highlight and glowy bronzer as well. So really enjoyed it more than I thought I would, but more just for this side. I know there are lighter shades of that and I might have to investigate those. Okay, and then my absolute favourite bronzer in my collection is this one by Fenty, which is going to reflect off my ring light really, really badly. But it's Shady Beers and it's one of their Sunstalker bronzers, and this is just the perfect bronzer shade for me. I love it. It's so easy to blend out, so buttery smooth. I've almost like taken all of the FB kind of logo that's stamped in there off now, and I never get through products, but I use this all the time. It's the one I gravitate towards these days and I really, really enjoy it. Kind of interested in these new cream products they're bringing out, the cream blushes in particular, because I love their packaging. This hexagonally sort of packaging just gets me every time, and yeah, and I just really, really enjoy this product. So that's all I have for single bronze, so not many at all really. I've only got, what, 6 there, so yeah, 6. So that's not many for somebody on YouTube, I don't think. So leaving bronzer and moving on to blush now. I've got a few of those, but still not too many. I'll start with an absolute classic. So I've got the NARS Orgasm Blush. I don't think this one's worth the hype, I have to say. It's not amazing. Like in the pan it looks super, super beautiful, like it's got that pink to gold shift, but it's gritty, it's hard to pick up on a brush. Whether it's just my one, I don't know, because everybody seemed to love this when it came out. So I'd love to know, guys, do you like this blush? Because for me it's like, it was expensive. It was, I don't know, it's in the upper regions of £20, 25, 26, I don't know. My husband bought it for me for Christmas because I kept raving on that I wanted to buy it because I'd kind of fell for all the hype on YouTube, and then when I got it I was like, it's not that great really. So I don't know why everyone loves it so much, but maybe I've just got a bad one out the batch, I don't know. But for NARS, it's one of their biggest things. They're on the orgasm train, aren't they? They have so many orgasm products. So yeah, so for some reason everybody else loves it but I don't, so don't use it very much at all. Next up I've got one from Anastasia. This is technically a trio, so it's not a single, but it's in small packaging and it's not really a face palette as such, so I'll put it in with this. But it's the shade Peachy Love. It's the only one I've got of theirs, but they're really, really good. I'd like to get more. But this is stunning. I love all 3 shades. It featured in one of my favourite blushes when I did a video on those. This shade is beautiful as a summer colour. That one's very neutral. You've got an intense orange as well, and they're different enough from one another to like make it worth all 3 shades being there. So I'd definitely like to own more of these. They are dear though. I think they're about £30, maybe more. I picked mine up in TK Maxx for £15, so it was a complete bargain, and I do use it a lot if I'm looking for an orange blush. If I'm looking for a bit more of a glowy orange blush though, it's this one that I go for by MAC. It's the shade Telling Glow. It's the only one of the Extra Dimension blushes that I own, but I wish I owned more because I don't know if I can do this justice. I'm just going to bring it in and see if I can get you to see the sort of sheeniness of it, but it's so, so beautiful. It's got that kind of gold sheen to it, just really picks up on the light on your cheeks. I like the small packaging. It's perfect for taking away in your bag, you know, just throw it in your handbag, and it's quite sturdy packaging, but there's not a ton of product, and they last really well as well on the cheeks, which blush normally is the first thing to fade, but this doesn't. It really does last really well. So in love with these, and I know a lot of people do say the same. So if you're looking for a glowy blush, totally recommend. Next up I've got a blush from BH Cosmetics. It's the only one I own by them, and it's one of their floral blushes. This one's in the shade Fiji Fun. This is nice. It's got a nice colour to it, like that mauvey pink kind of shade, and you've got 2 kind of blushes in one pan. I'm never that fond of that when you haven't got a distinction between the 2 and you sort of end up with your brush going up, so I just swirl the whole thing together. But it is nice. It's super pigmented though, so that's not a good thing for a blush really, because you want to be able to build it up, otherwise you can end up with way too much blush at one time. So you have to go in very sparingly. It's quite a powdery formula, but it is really, really beautiful on the cheeks if you bear that in mind. And it was only £6, £7, something along those lines. So really affordable. Got mine on Beauty Bay. If you're interested in picking them up, I think they're still available. Another pretty affordable one that I picked up recently is this one, which is Seraphina by Juvia's Place. And this is the sort of tone that I love. Last time I filmed with this and showed this, I managed to dig my finger in it, which is making me very sad. I hate seeing things like that in my makeup, but it's such a beautiful tone. It's very similar to the next one I'm going to show you, but it's half the price, or probably a third of the price of it. It's really, really good. Again, very pigmented, but such a beautiful, beautiful shade. It just, I don't know, it just lights up your cheeks from within in a way. And I think, particularly if you're getting a bit older like me, you need a bit more bronze and blush to really bring like some life back into your skin. I look very grey if I haven't got all of this on, so I just think it just like makes me look healthy, and as I say, pretty affordable as well. I got mine off the Juvia's Place website. I don't think these are available on Beauty Bay, might be wrong, but I got mine from Juvia's Place when I picked up the little mini berries palette, and I think it was about $8, so really, really good buy. The one it's really similar to though is California by Benefit. My number one all-time favourite blush. I don't think anything will ever top this one for single blushes. It is just stunning. If you like a peachy blush that's got quite a lot of coral intensity to it, this is the one. If you like a peachy corally blush with quite a lot of intensity to it that really lights up your cheeks, this is the one. As I say, it is pretty expensive and very similar in tone to Seraphina, so if you're looking for the vibes of this and haven't got the money to spend, then Seraphina will do the job. But I think this one has the edge in terms of formula. It's not as pigmented, which, as I say, for blush is a good thing. It's very long lasting, and it's just so beautiful on the cheeks. Really recommend this one. Again, it's in the box packaging, don't love that too much, and it comes with a little brush that I have used when I've been desperate, when I've taken it away somewhere, but it's not the greatest blush brush either. So definitely just going with a nice big fluffy brush and use it liberally, and I think you'll love it like I do. And the last one I've got is one of the Fruit Cocktail blush duos. This one's in Strawberry. It's by Too Faced, and it came out with the palettes. I've got two of the palettes as well. I really must use these more on my channel because this is stunning. You've got two options here, so you've got the peachy kind of one and you've got the pink, or you can kind of mix them together because that one's got a lot more kind of sheen to it, and both of them are really, really beautiful. And again, they've got that kind of glow that I really look for in a blush. It's not often I want things to look really matte, so this one's a really good option to like really get some glow on your cheeks. And super, super cute packaging as well. Okay, moving on to products that kind of span the gap between blush and highlight, because this was marketed as a highlight, and the next product I'm going to show you. This is by I Heart Revolution. It's the Dragon's Heart highlight palette, but when you see the shades inside, you'll see what I mean. Some of it's highlight, so I'd say these shades are highlight, but you can't really highlight with that unless you've got a much deeper skin tone than I have. So for me, I swirl the whole thing together and it pretty much makes a kind of blush topper for me. So that's what I'm saying. I think it's more of a blush palette than a highlight palette. And again, it's one of these where all of the shades are kind of so close to one another that you end up just kind of swirling around the whole thing. But it is pretty intense and it's pretty good as well. And they were kind of copies of what Too Faced were doing at the time in this kind of box packaging, and was only about £5, whereas the Too Faced ones were 25 or something along those lines. So yeah, it's super nice. It's just reminded me, talking about Too Faced again, I've got to backtrack a little bit. I've got another blush I've forgotten to show you, and it is one of my favourites. So this is one of the Love Flushes. I wish they'd carried on doing these. These are no longer available. They were £25, which was crazy, but they're so nice. This one's How Deep Is Your Love. I love the heart-shaped packaging, super, super cute. Had a really nice motif on it that's almost gone now, but this one's like, it's pretty intense. I went for the intense one. They had a range of colours. In fact, they had one that was a lot more red than this even, but I think this was about the second in intensity. It's one of those sort of neutral but quite warm tone blushes that goes with so many different eye looks. I've used this to death and absolutely love it. And that's why it wasn't with this collection, because it is kind of in my kind of regular drawer where I kind of use things all the time. And I don't link what I wear very often on my face, but if I haven't said what blush I'm using, it's more than likely to be this one because I use it a lot. This one and California. Another product that is meant to be a highlighter, let me show you, it's red. So these two came out together. I've got the light one and I've got the darker one, and they were for special effects makeup, and I didn't buy them to use them, to be honest. I've not used them, but it's because they're in skull packaging and I just thought they were so adorable. So they just sit in my beauty room looking cute really. But this one's a much deeper shade. I don't know if it's got the shade name on it or not. I don't think it has. I think it would be like a cheek stain if you were to use it. They always scare me, so I don't. And then this is super beautiful because it's got that kind of greeny sort of shift to it. I probably should try this one actually. And particularly if you ever did any special effects makeup, I think it would look great on a sort of ghosty look. But I bought a lot of their range from, these are from Revolution. I bought a lot of the range to do special effects and then just never did it. So I bought 2 of the face paint palettes and a whole massive pan of like the white pan stick kind of stuff, and never used any of it. So this year maybe I should, but it's a beautiful colour. So now moving on to my highlight collection, of which I've got way more than anything else in terms of singles. So I've got some drugstore. I'm going to start with those. I've got a couple by MUA. They're a pretty good drugstore brand. I don't know if they're available anywhere else in the UK though. You have to let me know. But they're £3 each, these. This one's called Radiant Cashmere. Packaging's horrible. It's like the cheapest of the cheap kind of drugstore packaging, but the product is really, really nice. And that one's kind of a goldy champagne-y sort of highlight. Really, really pretty. And pretty intense for only being £3. And this one's the shade Iridescent Gold, which doesn't look very gold at all. It's more of an icy kind of highlight. I suppose it has got a bit of a gold shift, but it is very icy on the cheeks, but very, very pretty. And then I have 2 very old Vivid Baked highlighters from Revolution. They don't make them in this packaging anymore, so that shows you how long I've had these. They're probably about 3 years old. They're still fine though. And this one's called Peach Lights. Absolutely stunning on me, this one. I should use this one more actually. It's got that kind of, if you use this with like California or Seraphina, something along those lines for blush, really picks up the peachy vibe. It's just beautiful. And again, they were about £3. I think they do an equivalent now in a different packaging. And this one's Golden Lights, and this one's got a bit of a greeny kind of, greeny yellowy goldy shift to it, but an icy sort of base to it. Again, for the price, really, really good. Packaging horrible, product really pretty good. It's why I don't buy very much drugstore makeup, because I am such a packaging person and it's part of the experience for me to have it packaged nicely. But Revolution do make some really good face products, I think. I've got 2 more by Revolution and they're liquid highlighters. And that one's Unicorn Elixir. That was when the unicorn trend was all the rage, you know, all these multicoloured highlights on your cheeks. So it's got lots of iridescence and different colours in it. It's really, really pretty. Have used it. And then this one's Ethereal, and this one's a pinky toned one. Don't use liquid highlights very much. Not because I don't like them, but because I always put my powder on and forget. And then I'm like, oh, I can't really do it now because it's going to move all the powder around. So I really need to use those more because they are really nice. And then I suppose you would call this brand drugstore, although they're more on the sort of getting towards higher end price, and that's Pixie. And I talked about this one when I was talking about my favourite highlights. This is really, really good. It's Subtle Sunrise is the shade, and it's one of their glowy gossamer duos. I think they do 2 different colourways in this. This is one I picked up. I've used it a lot. You can see all the, you know, how I've disturbed the pan there, which I don't very often do. I mix the 2 shades together quite often, and I use a natural hair or sort of a coarse brush. The Jeffree Star one, that one works really well with this sort of formula because it's quite, I don't know, it's not the most intense formula ever, but if you use a coarse brush, you'll get more shine, more, you know, it'll look more highlighted. So that's what I do with this one, because I was quite disappointed when I first bought it, just using my Sigma High Bone Cheek Highlighter, which I use a lot. I wasn't really a fan, and then when I tried a different brush with it, I really like it. So it is more of a sort of daytime highlight though. It's not a see it from space, but it is really good. Okay, moving on to some of my more higher end ones. I'm going to segue sort of from indie, and then I guess most of these brands are technically indie, but there's some of them are bigger brands. So you guys have already seen all of these on my channel before, and I use them all the time, but I've got all of the Kaleidos ones, so just quickly run through those. So I've got Ray Rider, and that's that one. So quite a neutral kind of peachy highlight. They're reformulating these, so I hear. I saw an Instagram post saying that, and that they've got new products coming out, which is super exciting. So I love Kaleidos. I think they're such a good brand. I did get these in PR, but that doesn't alter my opinion whatsoever. If I didn't like them, I'd be telling you I didn't, but they are really, really good. And here's why. So you've got lots of different formulas for different people. So this one is quite, as I say, like, yeah, sort of glow from within. Like, it's not particularly crazy sparkly or anything, quite a neutral one. And you've also got Star Surfer as well, which is similar, a bit more icy, a bit more pink in tone than Ray Rider. So that's that one. And you've also got Comet Catcher, which is a pink highlight, and this one is a bit more reflective than the other two. Sort of a bit duochrome. It looks white there, but it has got a really beautiful pink shift to it, but not glittery. Again, it's a lot more of a smoother formula. And then I've got the three more intense colourful ones, and they're where my heart lies. I love these, particularly this one, Laser Glaze, that is the green. Now I use this one more as eyeshadow and inner corner, because it is pretty intense, but it's got a beautiful shift to it. It's lovely on a spotlight eye or in your inner corner. Sometimes I use it sparingly as a cheek highlight to just tie everything together if I've used it on the eyes. It's really, really pretty. And I've got Solar Sailor, which is the yellow one. Again, quite sparkly, quite intense, really, really pretty. I think I've dipped something else into it, so you can see some pink in there, because I was like mixing a couple of things together when I was doing an eye look. Because again, I've used this one as an inner corner highlight quite often. It's really intense as an inner corner highlight, but really pretty. It's got as I say, a golden glow to it on the cheeks, but really highly reflective. This is a See It From Space highlight, which they were the Space Age highlighters, so that makes sense. And then the last one I've got from them is Skywalker, and that's the blue one. Again, white base, but has blue kind of sparkles running through it. This one is pretty glittery. Really, really beautiful though. Don't use this one enough. I really need to bust this one out more. But if you want to see these in a lot more detail, I have a video when I first got them covering all about them if you want to know more. But they're all the Kaleidos ones I have. Moving on, I've got just one from Anastasia, but it is an absolute classic. It's the Amrezy highlight. So happy to have this in my collection. I got it in the second wave of release because it was going to be limited edition, wasn't going to come back, and then it was such a fan favourite it came back. And there's a couple of reasons I love this. I love the pan, just like it looks like shifting sand in the pan, but it's that shade that just is, it's super reflective, but it will literally go with anything. It's got that champagne-ness about it that just, it doesn't lean too much of a colour, do you know what I mean? It just really spotlight highlights your face in such a beautiful way, and it suits so many different skin tones. I've seen people of all different skin tones wear this and it looked gorgeous on them, but you know, it works really well for my pale skin, but I think it would work right up to deep skin. I don't know what they've done. It's some sort of magic with this one, and it's an absolute classic. I don't use it very often. I use it when I go out because I don't want it to run out because I don't know if you can still get it now. Okay, next up is Fenty, and this one, which was marketed as a highlight. It's not a highlight on me, but I thought as it was marketed as a highlight, I'll show you it here. I think I'd use this more as a glow blush actually. But it's one of the Killawatt foils. It's Mimosa Sunrise and Sangria Sunset. And I bought it because it's just stunning. Look at those colours. I use it as eyeshadow. That's how I use it. And it is just so, so beautiful. But I think that that side, so Mimosa Sunrise, would look so beautiful as a blush or bronzer topper, so I'm going to have to try that. I've gotten a bit braver since I bought this. I think I would wear it on my cheeks, but obviously not as a highlight because it's too deep for me, but would be stunning on a deeper skin tone. Next up is Water Brat, again by Fenty. It's their pink glittery highlight. Very sparkly, very glittery. Not sure I love the formula on this one. I think it could have been a bit smoother. It's a little bit gritty, but the finished result is ultra glittery. If you like a glittery highlight, then it's for you. I don't know if I love it as much as some other pink highlights that I've got though, and I probably don't use it as much as I thought I would, but it is a stunning, really beautiful colour. But the next one I'm going to show you is my favourite pink highlight. It's by Ofra, of course, and it's Pillow Talk, and probably is one of my favourite highlights in my entire collection. This is just beautiful. It's got that high shine reflectiveness but no glitter really, and it just doesn't emphasize texture at all. It's just really, as I say, one of those see it from space kind of highlights. You don't have to work too hard to get it to be ultra reflective. It's like one of these cream to powder kind of feeling, you know, really not powdery at all, quite a creamy sort of formula, but it is a powder, and I just love it. I want to get all of their highlights. I just love it. But they are quite pricey. The only other one I do own is the one in collaboration with Nikkie Tutorials, which was Glazed Donut. And that's in the older packaging, which actually I do prefer. It's just a bit smaller and easier to store. But this one is a bit too icy even for me. This is really bright white on the cheeks. So sometimes I use this just to like pinpoint highlight over the top of another highlighter, but on its own it does look like a streak of icy white on my cheeks, which if you're looking for that, then it certainly does that, but it's a little bit too white for me, and I am pretty pale. I mean, I'm FO3 in Revolution, I'm NC15 in MAC, you know, I'm a cool tone and quite pale, so, and even for me this is a little bit too white. Next up, one of my absolute favourite highlights in the entire world, and use this again very sparingly and only for special occasions. It's from the 10-year anniversary collection for Kat Von D. It's a Metal Crush highlight and in the shade Gold School. And that one looks like it would be really white, but it's really just glitter. When you put it on the cheeks, it's like a gold iridescent glitter, and it just catches the light. It's just stunning. So beautiful. Not used it a ton because, as I say, they don't make it anymore, and it was part of a limited edition, so I'm trying to hold on to it for as long as possible, which I guess is crazy. We should use our makeup, but yeah, I cherish it, so I only want to use it for special occasions. Just left with my Jeffree Star collection, and I have 5 of the Skin Frost, so in the original packaging like this. My favourite one is this one, which is Lavender Snow. Beautiful purple highlight, very unusual as well. You don't see very many cool tone highlights like this. It looks way paler on the skin than it looks in the pan, but cool tone purple shift to it is just stunning. And that's one of the good formulas from him, because some of them aren't as great as others. Let's see which one we've got next. Oh, this one is Deep Freeze. Never used this on my cheeks before because look at it, I'm not that brave. And I am pretty brave with makeup, but in fact I think I've only dipped into it a couple of times, and I've used it just as a inner corner kind of accent shade. So it's a bit of a waste of money really, but I was on a mission to collect them all at the time. But Deep Freeze, I think I got buy one get the second half price and picked this one up, but it is a little bit too intense for me as a highlight for sure. And I just don't reach for my highlights as eyeshadows very often unless they're in a small packaging like the Kaleidos ones. I just don't think to do it. Next up I've got Dark Horse. Again, can't use this as a highlighter. This one is a glowy bronzer on me. It's beautiful for that, but I've not used it very much. You could use it as an eyeshadow again. This one I got free just with a spending limit on Beauty Bay. They were just giving one of these away free if you hit a certain limit, so that's how I own that one, but I wouldn't have chose it because it is way too dark for me. Then I've got Princess Cut. Now I'm gutted about this one. This is the one I was saying is not very good because it's such a beautiful shade of pink, but it just hard pans all the time, and I use the tape trick, you know, sticking tape over it to rough it back up again and get rid of the hard pan, and then the next time you use it, whatever brush you use, it hard pans again. which is such a shame because it's such a stunning, beautiful colour. I just wish he'd got the formula a bit better on that one, but I think a lot of people say the same about that one. And last up in the Skin Frost, I've got Mint Condition. This one's really special to me. I don't use it on my cheeks at all and haven't really used it much, but I got it at the Meet Jeffree Star event that he did at the Troxy in London. So it was his Can't Relate tour, and plucked up the courage to go on that day out, and I could have even met him actually. I got in the queue, you know, for tickets to have been able to meet him, but I chickened out because I went on my own to the event, which is such a big deal for me. I never travel anywhere on my own, and going to London is super intimidating for me. I don't like crowds of people, but I so much wanted to go that I decided to do it. And it's the Troxy, if you don't know London, is nowhere near sort of the main train station, Euston. You've got a long way to go, and you've got to go on the DLR line, so overground to the East End of London. It wasn't a particularly salubrious area either, and I was like on my own, but I had such a blast. There was so many colourful characters there. I was watching all these guys like dressed in drag and high heels and that, walking down the street. It's like, I'm definitely on the right track, I'm going to the right place. And Jeffree himself was just so entertaining, and yeah, I just really enjoyed the day. And we got a goodie bag at the end of the day, and this was in it. And we also got one of his velour liquid lipsticks, which is in the shade Watermelon Soda, and a £10 voucher to spend on Beauty Bay as well, and pop sockets and things like that. So the price of the ticket I think was £40, so you almost got like the money back in products really, or over that I would say. He's always really generous with things like that, I think. But I think everybody seemed to get Mint Condition. Everybody wanted like ice cold, and everyone was asking if they could swap if anyone had got it, and nobody would. But it just brings back so many memories of that day for me, so I'll always keep it in my collection even though I'll probably never use it. And then I'm down to the last three that I have, and they're all from Jeffree Star, and they're the Supreme Frost. So I bought two of them at the same time, and then I added one to my collection later. So the first one up is Money Honey, and it's very similar to Laser Glazer by Kaleidos. So if you can't afford the Jeffree Star one, then highly recommend the Kaleidos one. But this is a very special formula though. It's I don't know if you can see the duochromeness in it. I don't know if it's picking up on camera or not, but it's got a duochrome in it, but it is really sparkly. It's a Notice Me highlight, but I have worn this as highlight on a number of occasions, and I always get people comment and ask me what it is if I wear this one. It is really beautiful. I love the packaging on these way more than the massive pans of the Skin Frost as well. No one's ever going to get through a massive pan, particularly those coloured ones. These are much better. This one is Hypothermia. I love me a blue to purple kind of highlight, so I'm all about finding something that's a bit different now, because I've got so many of the sort of champagne ones. I'm looking for like these coloured ones but that are wearable still, and this looks quite intimidating in the pan, but it shears out really nicely. It is glittery, but it is really beautiful with purple eye looks or blue eye looks. And then because I love those so much, I wanted one that was quote unquote a bit more wearable, so decided to pick up another one, and this one's Diamond Wet. This came out with the Jawbreaker collection last year, and it's just really a champagne goldy kind of highlight that goes with everything, but in that same Supreme Frost formula, that just ultra reflective, glittery beautifulness. And that wraps up my bronzer, blush and highlight singles collection. So hope you enjoyed seeing what I've got. I think I've got way more than one person's ever going to need in a lifetime, and highlight is my weakness. I just, as soon as I see another coloured one, I want it. And actually they're not that much different on the cheeks, a lot of them, and that's something to bear in mind if you're looking to buy a new highlight. You know, you can get very suckered in by the sort of sparkle and glitteriness and shininess of new things, and quite a lot of these, if I was to swatch them out against one another, are fairly similar. But I'm always looking to try that new formula or that new colour, which is why I've got so many. But yeah, they're some of my favourite things in my collection, highlights, so I don't regret having picked up so many, but probably don't need too many more. But let's see, I probably will still buy some. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If you're new to my channel, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd love it if you consider subscribing before you go and also hitting the bell notification. I don't think YouTube's that great at notifying people unless you hit that bell notification. I've not been notified just recently of lots of my favourites, so something to bear in mind. But as I say, thank you for watching. I hope you're taking care of yourselves, and in this weird time that watching some makeup content is making you feel a little bit better and keeping you entertained. That's what I'm aiming to do. But have a lovely day or night, whatever you're up to, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.